Let's go.
Hi, I'm Christine Justice. I am the 9-12 Mathematics Program Coordinator for Daniel Hand High School.
And I'm Justin Kaeser. I am the 8-12 Math Instructional Coach for Madison Public Schools. So we originally started with just collecting a ton of data for the school. We really weren't focused on math or anything in particular. We were just really doing a data dive in anywhere from SAT data to discipline data to just some data that we can collect through observations. And that led to a small group of leadership, admin and department chairs and teachers from both special ed, math, English, a lot of different content areas to look at that data for a possible achievement gap or a possible problem of practice that's causing that achievement gap. From that group determined that there was a possible achievement gap in our high needs population in mathematics. So from there we went to a smaller committee with both special ed teachers and mathematics teachers to look more at this data and see what else we need to collect. From that conversation, we looked at specifically our level 3 students. So here at Daniel Hand High School in mathematics, we currently have an honors track, a level 2 track, and a level 3 track. So we looked at our level 3 students and saw that they were underperforming in comparison to other students on different tracks. And then from there, we move forward.
Correct. So that became the question of why. Why were we finding that there was a little bit of a difference in the achievement of our level 3 students? So we decided to continue that gathering of data through a learning walk process. So we had teachers from the department watching each other teach without looking for what the teacher was doing, but looking at student engagement and answering some questions through a protocol around what that student engagement looked like. And so what we found is that it wasn't that student engagement was any different in our level 3, but that there was something else, more around what types of questions were being asked, what the challenges were that the students were being presented with, that led us to consider how we can continue this work to figuring out how to best support the students.
Yeah, and this idea about our level 3 students has been something that our district leadership and admin leadership have talked about a lot over the last few years that I've been here at Daniel Hand, and it kind of just took the teacher ownership of it and the teachers to really dive into it, and just our admin, our principal coming in and say like, hey, you guys have the ability to address this and move this work forward. So that's why we decided to de-level our Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2 and move to a 2-level model in those courses.
So one of the greatest challenges is building teacher and student self-efficacy around how to continue the work. We are really good as mathematicians at looking at the data, at looking at observations, at deciding what we're seeing, but believing that we can do it within ourselves and aligning our personal beliefs with what we are seeing the students need was one of our greatest challenges. So the focus around that was really to pull back and pull away from looking at personal beliefs and focusing on what the data said and what our standards were telling us. And so being able to allow teachers to look at it from more of an objective perspective and less of a subjective perspective was able to move our work and to build a self-efficacy within the teachers to be doing the work in the classroom that we were all looking for.
Yeah, and our biggest success so far, I mean, we still have a long way to go in our process and our work, because when we decided we were going to move forward with this, we said, hey, we're not going to just rip the Band-Aid off. We're going to build a plan, and we're going to make sure that our teachers have the support they need to be successful with this work. And so the biggest success we've seen so far is just the teachers seeing that those worries that they had don't really come into play anymore. And they have the ability and the curriculum and the instructional strategies to provide a differentiated classroom for that mixed population that we have more in that D-level Algebra 1. A lot of our work had to do around building thinking classrooms and really changing the instructional strategies and the curriculum to fit those instructional strategies. And I think the teachers finally feel confident in delivering a building thinking classrooms type room, and they seem like the kids are working together. They're solving through it. They're doing less direct instruction, and it's more student-centered work. And I think they see that they are able to do it, and this is something that is going to be better for all of our kids.
Really, when we think about the profile of a graduate, we think about that instructional work and having the capacities really embedded right within our day-to-day instruction. So as Justin was mentioning, the students are working through problems at whiteboards, so they're getting that collective intelligence. They are being posed with questions through a thin slicing approach, so they're seeing patterning, which is allowing them to analyze and build inquiry. And so in order for that to really happen, in order for that work to be embedded in our classroom, we had to support teachers in those instructional approaches. And we had some teachers that did a little book study on the building thinking classroom and productive struggle. We would provide excerpts from the books for teachers to discuss during department meetings, and really thinking about how they are not an extra piece because content is so heavy in mathematics and so time consuming, but making sure that we were just doing the instructional strategies that allowed those capacities to live within our work.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing with the capacities is getting teachers to take ownership that, hey, we're just not doing the capacities on this day, right? This is the day we're focusing on the profile of graduate. It's just, we're living that every day through the curriculum work that we have using illustrative math and mathematics, and also those instructional strategies you mentioned, like just getting kids to engage in the work and have them thinking rather than us telling them what to think, and really getting the students to work with each other has been a nice way. Just the profile of graduates just showed up every day in our classrooms.
It really requires the thought, the data collection, the opportunities for teachers to see the need for change, for teachers to be involved in that process, to build their self-efficacy. I know that teachers always want to do their best for the students, but often will shy away if they fear that they cannot continue to provide the instruction that they want when they're trying something new. So it will not happen overnight. It shouldn't happen overnight, but you will see teachers start to move their desks from rows to groups. You'll see teachers go from worksheets to working at vertical spaces, and you'll see and hear a lot of conversation amongst teachers and students around instruction, around the mathematics thinking, when you give yourself the time and really a thoughtful process.
Yeah, and my advice would be have data to support the work that you're doing. I think that was really big in our teachers, where they had that moment where they looked at the data and they're like, well, yeah, of course our level 3 students are struggling. That's our level 3 students. And that was like that aha moment where it's like the data validated their thinking, and then they realized, oh no, that's a problem. Like, we need to work to change that. So it had them take the ownership of the work. The more that the teachers can drive the change, the more that change is going to be successful.